You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, happy holidays and welcome into another edition of Talkin Ducks. And the Oregon football news cycle is the gift that keeps on giving. Huge news, big-time transfer. Bo Nix, former quarterback for the Auburn Tigers. Yes, the same Bo Nix that the Ducks squared off against a handful of years ago, announcing via social media he is going to be an Oregon Duck. So that'll be exciting to see what happens there. We'll get the guys' thoughts on that. Also, there is an Alamo Bowl coming up just around the corner. And then men's basketball, a matchup against number 1 Baylor. The Ducks showing a lot more fight than many people anticipated. But let's go ahead and get to the opening drive, brought to you by Les Schwab Tire Center. Les Schwab doing the right thing since 1952. And we welcome in the fellas. Guys, happy holidays. We have Joey Harrington, Anthony Newman, and of course from the Oregonian, Aaron Fentress. And Aaron, let's start with you on the news about Bo Nix. What does this mean for Oregon? What were your initial thoughts? And did this surprise you? Were you surprised at all by this?
Not surprised at all that they would go get a transfer quarterback. It seemed like it was going to be a necessity given the fact that they clearly didn't have confidence in the young quarterbacks on the roster since they never went to any of them when Anthony Brown was struggling. So this was a no-brainer. The fact that it's Bo Nix makes a lot of sense as well, given the fact that he worked with new offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham his freshman season at Auburn when they defeated Oregon, by the way, in the season opener. So the connection is there. He'll come in, he'll know the OC will know the quarterback. He'll obviously probably know the offense pretty well. And so this is a no-brainer to give them someone to either bridge the gap or just be a carrot out there for the youngsters to chase.
All right, Joey, Anthony, do you guys like the addition of Bo Nix to this Oregon roster?
I like it. It brings some spice to the dish. You know, you can't run away from competition. If you want to play in the next level, that's what you're going to see, competition. You're watching the draft every year, seeing who they draft at your position. So, Ty Thompson, get ready for it. Here it comes.
Yeah, I think this can be a springboard for Ty Thompson, right? It can be something to push him along. It could be kind of a motivating factor, whether it's for Ty or any of the young freshmen, sophomore quarterbacks on roster, because that's honestly, that's what Oregon needs, is one of those youngsters to develop into a long-term starter, and hopefully this can be the catalyst for that.
And then Nix, I mean, you know, he's kind of a lot like Brown in that he's not a great passer. He's a pretty good runner. He's kind of inconsistent, which is why he didn't have the success at Auburn that they hoped he would have. But that doesn't mean he can't continue to improve as well. At the very least, you get a veteran guy who knows what he's doing. He knows how to get you in and out of your offense. He knows how to orchestrate and organize and make checks and make decisions and you know, change plays, et cetera, which is something that the youngsters struggled with. So this gives the new staff basically a security blanket, a go-to guy in case the other guys don't develop. So I think it's a smart move and pretty much one that, I mean, I thought this was more of a given that they would do this than it was. And I thought it was a given that Mario would take the Miami job. And of course, we all know I thought that was definitely a given. They had to bring in a veteran guy to bridge the gap.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll have so much more on the Bo Nix transfer announcement. Also, what it means for Ty Thompson in the Oregon quarterback room. Is that starting role for Ty Thompson next year still automatic? We'll let you know when we come back.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we'd gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. It's time for A Thing of Beauty, presented by Dr. Lee B. Daniel and Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Live beautiful. And how about this tweet from Ty Thompson? He is 10 toes in after the announcement that Bo Nix made that he is transferring to Oregon. And so, Joey, you got Ty Thompson, who many people feel was going to be the starter following the departure of Anthony Brown due to graduation. He's got all 10 piggies in the duck pond, ready to roll here, and isn't shying away from the competition. Is competition good for a quarterback room when you look at the fact that really only one guy will get the starting job and the playing time throughout the majority of the year?
Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to see Ty Thompson come out and say, I'm in, right? That's what you need from the start, right? That's the kind of confidence that you want from a quarterback. I've been in a similar situation, right? In Detroit when Steve Mariucci brought in Jeff Garcia. And he brought him in as somebody who knew the offense and a security blanket. And, like you said, Aaron, somebody that they're comfortable with in the event that things don't work out. It's kind of a balancing act, right? Because you want to bring in somebody who can help develop young kids, help develop the young quarterbacks. But that's not why Bo Nix is coming in, right? He's not coming in saying, you know what, I'm going to come in and be just like an extra coach. He's coming in to play. And he's coming in because he's comfortable with this offense. He feels like he's got a shot to come in and play football. And so there is an interesting balance, and one that Oregon has kind of had to tightrope along, but they've had to rely on these kind of these gap bridging quarterbacks, these transfers for quite a few years now. With the exception of Justin Herbert, there really hasn't been a long-term starter since Marcus left. And that's really what you need as a program. So it's a tightrope to walk, but I'm confident that they're bringing in, if they think that Bo Nix is the kind of guy who can come in and compete, but also be a good support, right? You're not going to bring in a guy who's a bad locker room guy, right? You know those kind of guys, especially as a new coaching staff coming in. You're going to bring in good quality people who can play if they need to, but also be a good guy in that room for the younger quarterbacks.
Anthony, you go next because I'm about to filibuster this bad boy. So go ahead.
Well, it's funny, we really know nothing about Bo Nix. I mean, we don't. I mean, we're over here in the West Coast, and he's down there playing at Auburn. The last time I saw him play was against Oregon. And he looked like a quarterback that was feisty. He has a grind to him. We know this, okay? He played in the SEC, okay? He's going against great competition. we can understand that. He knows how to fight. I think, watching him, he's a very smart quarterback. He's played a while now. But we won't know until they start spring camp to see what's going on with him. I mean, why did he leave? What's the situation? If everything's going great for you as a player, why are you going to go somewhere else? You're going to stay. So it should be interesting.
You're 100% correct. I mean, clearly he has not panned out to be the superstar Auburn hoped he would be. He was a 5-star recruit, just like Ty Thompson, by the way, and things didn't exactly work out. So now he's a free agent. He comes to Oregon where he's going to have a chance to start. But here's the bottom line. Here's the problem that's sort of happening in Duck world is that a lot of fans refuse to believe that Ty Thompson just wasn't ready because he was a 5-star recruit, right? Rivals in 24/7 say he's a 5-star recruit. He must be a superstar, right? Well, he's not yet. He's a developmental project, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being a star out the gate. So if you're a new coaching staff coming in and you see a QB room with 3 youngsters, Ashford, Butterfield, and Ty, and they have 0 starts among them and only like maybe 20 passing attempts among them, you would be derelict in your duty to not seek a transfer because you don't know what these guys got. And I'm sure there was communication between the new staff and the old staff about where's the QB room at. And people probably say, yeah, those guys weren't ready. That's why we never moved on Brown with any of them because they just couldn't handle it. Then you have to go out and get someone else and let the youngsters continue to grow. But that 5-star thing still sticks out there with people that they just assume Ty Thompson is a ready-made superstar, and he's not. Bo Nix helps you bridge the gap to that. And here's the bottom line. When people were saying that if you bring in a transfer and Ty Thompson's going to quit and transfer, why would you want him? Like, seriously, why would you want a QB that's afraid of competition, especially from a guy who hasn't been that great? You know what great quarterbacks in QB past, Oregon's history past, had competition? Joey Harrington had to beat out Feely. Clemens had to deal with Fife. Dixon had to deal with Leaf. Mariota had to beat out Bennett, who was really good in starting caliber, but Mariota was better. Herbert had to beat out Dakota Prukop at some point. That's just how it works. Your great quarterbacks embrace competition and they beat the guy out. So if Ty Thompson doesn't beat him out next year, thank God you have Nix, right? And maybe Thompson becomes the guy in 2023. He would still have 3 years left. But if he does beat him out, then he beat out a legitimate veteran quarterback that had some success, which means what? Which means Ty Thompson has made a huge leap in his development and is ready to start and lead this team.
Aaron, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, I say let's go to commercial because Aaron's
when I'm right, I'm right.
It's been fun, fellas. See ya.
All right, when we come back, there's a bit of a trend developing here with Oregon quarterbacks and transfers, whether they come in or they leave. We'll let you know if that's an issue when we return on Talkin Ducks.
Do you have a stay-at-home project? We can help. Contact Parr from the comfort of your home. Get a free quote online or call a pro to order your materials. And the best part? We deliver. Call us or visit parr.com for details. Parr, your project experts for 90 years.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Sometimes leadership is scary, but so is regret.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. All right, let's get to the hot topic, brought to you by Comfort Flow Heating, the HVAC industry leader in Western Oregon since 1961. And so with Bo Nix coming in, it's yet another quarterback transferring into Oregon who might potentially be the starter. And gentlemen, I'll leave it to you. Is this an issue for Oregon? It feels like so long ago that they recruited a quarterback and built him up from his freshman year. You really have to go back to Herbert and Mariota, and those are two pretty good examples for the Ducks. But what do you make about this transfer trend at quarterback? Is it anything to be concerned about?
You know, I think this is more the norm than kind of an exception, right? I think a lot of college football deals with this. A lot of college football does not have a superstar, stable quarterback every single year. We've been lucky. We've been lucky to have guys, have coaches that have been able to develop so many stable, productive quarterbacks through the years. And I think that this is a little bit of maybe a wake-up call to see what maybe the rest of the country kind of deals with every once in a while, and something that Oregon has to address, right? We've been lucky that we've had such incredible quarterback coaches, such incredible offensive minds over the last 20 years that have been able to turn out productive quarterback after productive quarterback. And I think Oregon, needs to take a look and say, what can I do to help this position get better, especially with the talent that they potentially have in this room. And I frankly, I love the hire. I love the hire that Coach Lanning made to really place an emphasis on this quarterback position with a young guy who can, in Kenny, who can go out and, I don't want to say relate, but like there's an energy, right? There's a developmental energy with these new coaches, which I like.
Sometimes I get a little nervous when people say the word develop. You need to develop these quarterbacks or these players. Now, I don't know anything about trying to develop a quarterback, but I do know this. Coaches coach, players play. Now, you can enhance a player. You can, as a coach, you can try to have him understand the situation, looking at formations, understanding, tendencies, indicators, things like that. But at one point of a player's career, he has to play. He has to do what he needs to do. And he will only make himself great. And sometimes these fans or these people talk about coaches need to develop these guys and make these guys. Yeah, to a certain point. But again, at one point, that player needs to come through. And, we can go back and talk about Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown's not throwing it to this guy, throwing it to that guy. Now, in meetings, Joe Moorhead, he might be saying the same thing. Anthony, why don't you throw it to this guy or throw it to that guy? Look down the field. But somehow Anthony Brown is not doing that. We don't know that. So sometimes I think people put it too much on the coaches to say, you guys got to develop these quarterbacks. Well, quarterbacks got to play too.
I got to do their job. Anthony, I agree. Hold on real quick. I agree to a certain point. But I think it's fair to say that the quarterback position is different than just about any other position in sports, and especially any position on the football field. So yes, to a certain extent, I 100% agree for DBs or tight ends. Right, you teach them what you can, and then you turn them loose. I look at a guy like Jeff Tedford, who truly, I can't think of another quarterback coach who has turned out any more first-round NFL picks. Trent Dilfer, David Carr, myself, Akili, Aaron Rodgers, Kyle Bowler. Go down this list, and he has a way of teaching quarterbacks what to expect and how to expect it, right? So that they can be prepared to deal with these things. I would say that quarterback is the position that least relies on athleticism on the field, right? Because there is so much thinking and so much, as opposed to just knowing what you have to do, you have to know what everybody else on the field is doing at that same time. So there is a responsibility for quarterback coaches specifically to get their players ready. Now, you can, like you said, you can feed them all the information you want, but if they don't absorb the information, then it's not going to do any good. So maybe you find a different way to teach the information. All right, I'll never forget how Coach Tedford sat down with Akili and taught him essentially all the offense when he came in. I was like, oh man, what a brilliant way to just kind of sit down and break it down in the most basic sense so that somebody coming in fresh from junior college wants to get ready to play can be up to speed and ready to go. Different coaches have different approaches and can teach things different ways. And those are the really successful ones that are able to communicate that information in a way that the quarterback can understand, not just saying, here's what it is and it's your fault if you don't pick it up.
Well said by both of you guys. Clearly, Joey would know what he was talking about in this arena, and Anthony knows from watching good development, well-developed quarterbacks torching him. Bump. Anyway, sorry, it's a pointless zing. I just had to throw it in there. But here's the deal: Oregon, okay, quarterback is a crapshoot. We all know this. At the NFL level, how many first-round picks don't become superstars? We all know this. How many five-star kids don't become superstars? We know it's an inexact science, and it's the most difficult position in team sports by far. I don't even think it's remotely even a contest, right? But Oregon has had great success within that crapshoot over the years. When you look at, I got the list right here. Chris Miller, Musgrave, Graziani, Akili, Harrington, Feely, Clemens, Dixon, Mariota, Herbert. All 10 of those guys in the last 30 years played in the NFL. That's a lot of great success. But inevitably, you're going to have hiccups. You're going to have guys who miss. The Travis Johnsons, the Morgan Mihaliks, who were all highly rated quarterbacks. Tyler Shuck, and they just didn't work out at Oregon for whatever reason. You want to blame the coach, blame the kid, whatever. And so Oregon is in a mode right now where they have youngsters who haven't quite clicked yet. That doesn't mean they won't. That doesn't mean they would have with a different coach. We don't know that for sure because other quarterbacks failed under Helfrich, but Helfrich had great success with Thomas, Mariota, and Herbert. So it's a crapshoot, right? But moving forward, I think it's just a no-brainer that you bring someone in like Bo to bridge that gap, and maybe he's going to be another great transfer for Oregon. We've seen a lot of great transfers. Akili was one you mentioned. Masoli did well as a transfer. Vernon Adams, my God, how good was he as a transfer, right? And then one of these other guys comes up behind him and is finally ready. And there's nothing wrong with letting these guys take their time and develop.
And that's the point, Aaron, is I don't think anybody, this game has moved so quickly that taking your time
I know. It's like, oh my God,
failure,
we can't have that.
Right? If, you mentioned AJ and myself, right? AJ sat for 3 years, I sat for 2 years, and then we had a competition. He was going to, he had a chance to play for 2, and I had a chance to play for 3 years. But we sat for a combined 5 years and waited and learned, and that was expected. That was an okay thing. Now, if you're a 5-star guy and you're not playing by your second year, you're a bust already. When
right.
that's not football. Like that's not reality. And what you've created is this situation where people are anticipating, well, if I'm not on the field, hey, is he going to transfer? Is he going to transfer? Should he go somewhere else? No. He's just learning, and that's okay.
Amen.
All right, coming up next, new head coach Dan Lanning starting to mold the clay that is his coaching staff. A couple of hires, and it looks like this group is taking shape. We'll talk more about it when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Time to put things into focus, brought to you by Pacific Clear Vision Institute, the official eye doctors and eye surgeons of the Oregon Ducks. All right, Aaron, well, the Ducks have hired Kenny Dillingham as offensive coordinator and Matt Powledge as co-defensive coordinator. What do you make about these two early hires in the new Dan Lanning era?
Well, there's not much out there on Powledge because he's never been a coordinator before that I can tell, at least at the Power 5 or at the major college level. He was coaching safeties and special teams at Baylor this past year. He's a guy that clearly Lanning wants to give a shot to as a co-defensive coordinator. I would imagine he would be in charge of the passing defense. As for Dillingham, he's been around. I mean, his offense has lit it up, at Memphis. And with Bo Nix at Auburn, they averaged 33 points a game. So obviously he did a great job there. At Florida State, not so good, about 25, 26 points a game. But of course, that could be personnel related. But he's a young up-and-coming coordinator that clearly Lanning believes can take this offense to another level. Now, just in watching some Florida State game or highlights and game clips, it looks like he runs a very similar offense to what we just saw. They will come out and they will spread you out. They'll also use multiple tight ends. They will run and pound the ball. And of course, they like to throw it around. So I think Oregon fans will be happy with the style of offense. Maybe not the pace of play that we are used to seeing in Oregon from back in the olden times, but clearly still a spread, wide open offense that will attempt to put up as many points as possible, which is, I know, what Oregon fans want.
Yeah, Aaron, I don't know that any of us can truly say what these coordinators are going to bring on the field because, well, like you said, the co-defensive coordinator has never actually been a coordinator before, and offensively, Kenny's had a couple different spots, and it doesn't have a huge resume in terms of decades of coaching experience, but that's what I like, right? For the same reason that I love the hire of Dan Lanning, because of his youth and his experience and his ability to put a stamp on a program. That's why I like these hires, right? They're both guys of the same idea. The same idea that I'm going to come in and I'm going to be a part of something and I'm going to shake it up and I'm going to get an opportunity. Coach Lanning's given me an opportunity at a young age to come in and make an imprint. And I love that energy, right? I love that commitment, that buy-in. So I'm on board. I mean, I haven't seen anything on the field. None of us have seen anything on the field, but I'm already on board with the philosophy of the hires, which I think is a fantastic thing. And frankly, follows the philosophy that Dan Lanning is putting forward, which I think is tremendous.
I'm going to piggyback what Joey says. I love the hire. I really do. I just don't know anything about the coaches that he's bringing on board, so I can't say anything about it. I said this last week, Dan Lanning has his work cut out for him. He has a lot of work to do. He's trying to still coach at Georgia, okay, and then hire coaches. And then, a lot of times when you bring in, like when they brought in Mario, a lot of the staffs, they stayed on. They didn't leave. And so this staff, a lot of people, they don't know what's going on. I think a lot of coaches don't know what's going on. That, again, that late night calling. I'm calling other coaches late night trying to find jobs. And so there's going to be a whole lot going on in the next month here, more so after the bowl game, with coaches trying to figure out where they want to go. And this is going to be interesting to watch who he brings in. And when we talk about coaches, you can look at stats. You can see what they did with their teams, but you don't know how they are as a coach, person to person, relationships, how they deal with the kids. That's one thing we don't know. So it will be interesting to watch.
Well, we taped last week's show before the intro presser for Dan Lanning, but one thing that really stood out was when Lanning was asked, how does he build trust with the fan base and the community who saw its last two head coaches leave after pretty short tenures? Here's his answer.
Ultimately, I said the same thing to our players yesterday. I'm not asking for you to trust me. I'm asking for an opportunity to earn your trust. But I'll also say my situation is unique. If William Jewell College comes calling, I love William Jewell College, but I'm staying at Oregon. And I'm going to stay at Oregon as long as I can stay at Oregon, and as long as Oregon will have me. And look, this is there is no other for me. This is a premier job in the nation, not just this league, in the nation. And again, it was going to take a premier job for me to leave the situation I was in. So I'm thrilled to be here because I know what we can do here. There doesn't have to be a next step for me. This job can be the final step.
All right, Aaron, it's been over a week in the Dan Lanning era, and what do you make now just of this hire? I know it's still really early, but do you get a sense of things? Do you have a pulse? What does your gut tell you? That chiseled six-pack of yours, of course. What are you feeling?
Well, I thought he won the press conference. I mean, it was a good press conference. He saved some recruits, a handful. There's a lot of work to be done in the recruiting aspect of this whole thing. And of course, the transfer portal, I think he's going to have an impact there. I'm imagining there might be some disgruntled young men on Georgia who want more playing time that maybe he can pull to Eugene. We'll see. But, you know, I mean, he's enthusiastic. He seems to have a great personality. I look forward to interviewing him someday. But that's all we know at this point. Like, there's really nothing else to glean from any of this. And although I think we all agree that the youthful exuberance is nice and great, and there's nothing wrong with going that direction, experience does matter. I mean, you know, give me a coach, give me Lanning in 20 years versus Lanning now. I would hope the Lanning in 20 years will be a much better coach than he is now. I do expect a lot of growing pains with his staff, given the youth of the staff. And I don't believe that there's a staff in the Pac-12 who's afraid of this staff. Like, oh my God, Dan Lanning and Dillingham. Like, I think they're going to view them as good coaches and they're going to compete and see what happens. But just to start out in terms of what they seem to bring to the program from a personality standpoint, hey, there's nothing not to like.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about more opt-outs for the Ducks as they get set for the Alamo Bowl, plus potentially a quarterback situation developing for the bowl game. We'll have that and more when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back into Talkin Ducks. Now we're going to get to the opt-outs in the Alamo Bowl, and Joey Harrington just now had to opt out of this episode. I believe he's preparing for a white elephant draft or something of those sorts. But a couple more opt-outs joining Kayvon Thibodeau as they get set for the Alamo Bowl, highlighted by Devin Williams. Anthony, what do you make about these most recent opt-outs and the impact it has for the Ducks coming into this bowl game?
Well, as a Duck fan, I'm sad that those guys are not playing in the bowl game. Devin Williams, Mikael Wright, you want to see them finish the season. But at the same time, they're looking out for themselves, and you can't argue that. If I put myself in that situation and I'm trying to go into the draft, I'm going to think about those things. I'm going to think about trying to stay healthy and not get hurt in the bowl game, and then now all of a sudden I got to deal with this injury and not get ready for the draft. So, and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, what's going on at their own home with their families and trying to make a living right now and trying to do it the best way they think is possible, and that's to protect themselves. But as from Oregon, from their standpoint, now you got a lockdown corner that's out. You got DJ James who transferred. He's going to another school. So now you lost 2 corners. Okay, and then you have a receiver that was the go-to guy in Williams. When Anthony Brown was looking for a tall receiver, he was the guy. So that's going to hurt Oregon a little bit, matter of fact, a whole lot, because as we all know that Oregon lost all those receivers in the Pac-12 championship game and before that. So who's going to be the receiver that's going to step up in this bowl game to shine? Who's going to be the guy? So we got some young receivers, and as the defensive backs, corners. You got to have some corners to cover the receivers. Who will be the guy that's going to step up to be the top corner? But those guys going to the NFL, I can't comment on it because I don't know what's going on within their family and why they're trying to leave now and how they're trying to protect themselves.
And Aaron, for an already depleted wide receiver group, how big of a loss is it for Devin Williams to opt out and not play in this game?
Their top 4 receivers to start the season were Giant Johnson, Red, Pittman, and then Devin Williams. They're all gone. And at least if you kept Williams, because he was playing so well, he helps take some pressure off the youngsters. The team has to scheme for him, and so maybe those guys can thrive. Now he's gone. You got a bunch of youngsters running around that I doubt Oklahoma is very concerned with, not because they aren't talented, but because just like the quarterbacks, they're young. And during the season, there were rumblings and complaints about some of the things that Brown was being blamed for were actually on the receivers for not running the right routes, the right depth, adjusting the routes properly, something that Joey Harrington experienced in Detroit. We've talked about numerous times about his experience. There were some receivers who wouldn't do those things. Anyway, look, any coach that has a problem with a player skipping a bowl game, especially not a big-time bowl game or a playoff game, needs to kick rocks. Where's Mario Cristobal? Where's Mario Cristobal? He's in Miami right now. You know why? Because college football allows coaches to quit on their teams. Think about that. We are taught as athletes the whole time we're growing up, you never quit on your teammates. You never quit on your team. You always give 100%. You keep it going even when the going gets tough. And what does college football not only allow but promote and almost like just basically make it part of everyday life? You can literally quit on your team and turn your back and go to another place. But yet coaches are going to cry because players look around and go, if my coach doesn't care about this bowl game, why the heck should I? I'm getting ready for the NFL. I am who I am. This bowl game's not going to make or break me. It could break me. It could break my leg. It could tear my Achilles. It could do something to me. That makes me less valuable for what I want most, which is to go to the NFL. So I have zero problem with these guys quitting on this game. Their head coach quit, and I have zero problem with them looking out for number one because that's what pro sports is all about. And these guys are now officially professionals.
Well said, Aaron. Well, switching gears to quarterback in the Alamo Bowl, interim head coach Brian McClendon had this to say when he was asked about switching quarterbacks for this game. It's time now for the Coaches Report, brought to you by Milan Stoneworks, bringing you the finest stoneworks in the Northwest.
The quarterback situation hasn't changed. It has not changed. Those guys are still doing a great job of getting mixed in there. So we'll see if anything does change between now and then we'll see. But right now, the quarterback situation hasn't changed. Anytime you play, as a coach, as a coach once said in a press conference, you play to win the game. You play to win the game. So you want to do everything you can do to make sure that these guys are in the best position to do that. So like I said, man, if winning and losing didn't matter, then you wouldn't keep score. So right now, as long as we have an opportunity to go out there and play, we're going to do everything we can do to give our kids the best chance to go out there and win the football game.
All right, Aaron. Well, what do you make about what Coach McClendon said as far as no changes at quarterback for the Alamo Bowl and really the rest of his preparation for this game coming up?
I don't see why you would change anything now. There's a lot of different angles to this. One, I would hope that the players involved in the game who are choosing to play, the coaches who are choosing to coach, want to win, right? If you want to win, if you care about winning, then you should make all the moves necessary to win. And one of the key moves would be starting your best quarterback, period. Now, one of the arguments out there, mainly by fans, is that you played Ty Thompson to get him ready for Georgia in 9 months. Well, one, they have a transfer quarterback who's likely going to start that game. But even aside from that, I don't believe there's enough Ty Thompson is going to get out of this game to preparing for Georgia compared to what he's going to gain all offseason learning a brand new offense, practicing, et cetera, et cetera. Now, a little game experience can help. I get that. But one, Ty Thompson may not be the starter next year. And also, could you be setting him up for monumental failure? If the coaches didn't believe he was ready to take over for Brown this season, even when we saw Brown struggle, then what makes you think he's going to have success against Oklahoma in a bowl game? That just doesn't register for me. So, to me, the plan is obvious. You start Brown. If Brown struggles, or if you're getting blown out, then you get Ty out there and just see what happens, because you have nothing to lose at that point because the game's lost, or maybe you're blowing them out. And Thompson doesn't burn his red shirt because he's only played 3, he can play 4. So to me, that's the obvious plan.
Well, I'm going to put the guy who got us there, and it's always about if it's not broke, why fix it? If I get Aaron at the line of scrimmage, I'm going to jam him up every single play. He can't get off the line of scrimmage. So why the next day am I going to change that and change my technique and play from off? No, I'm going to get the line of scrimmage and jam him up, and he's going to be stuck at the line of scrimmage. So, for Oregon to play against Oklahoma, you got to go with who got you there, and that's Anthony Brown, and then see what happens as the game goes along. But don't change anything. Just keep doing what you do.
Here's a reenactment of
I had to put that in
wide
there.
Receiver at the line of scrimmage. Newman's on me. Said, "Hut up." Is that how you see it? Said, "Hut." Whatever.
I had to get you back, Aaron.
I
had to get you back.
All right, when we come back, we'll fly around the Pac-12 where Oregon State and the Beavers absolutely faceplant in the LA Bowl. Plus, we'll take a look at the 2022 Pac-12 schedule for the Ducks when we come back on Talkin Ducks. You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Buckle up, let's fly around the Pac-12, courtesy of Eugene Airport. Fly easy, fly EUG. Well, Aaron, the Beavers didn't look too impressive in their loss to Utah State in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. What do you make about the Beavers' performance and the reputation of the Pac-12 after losing to a Mountain West team?
Extremely disappointed. I thought the Beavers would win by 2 scores. I thought that they just would run all over Utah State with that offensive line. And then, of course, Chance Nolan would, do a lot of play action and bootlegging like he does well when they're running the ball well. And it just never materialized. Well, first quarter, they looked good for a minute there. Very bad look for the Pac-12. Now, granted, it's just one of several bowl games coming up featuring Pac-12 teams, but the Beavers were favored by 8 points against a group of 5 team. Like, that's a game you're supposed to win. And for Oregon State, look, no matter how you spin it, this was a good year for them because they made a bowl game for the first time since 2013. But 8-5 with a bowl win is infinitely better than 7-6 with a bowl loss to a Utah State, and especially when you just got kind of hammered as well. So yeah, not a good look for the Pac-12, not a good look for Oregon State, especially since they lost at Cal, lost at Colorado. Like, they did not end the season well at all. Hopefully some Pac-12 teams can rise to the occasion because most are, if not all, are underdogs in all the other upcoming bowl games, including Oregon against Oklahoma. But yes, definitely not a good start for the Pac-12.
Let's be real. I'm not a Beaver fan, but I am pulling for someone in the Pac-12 and also had to pull for Jaden Grant to watch him play. Me and my son were watching the game, and
you haven't broke them up yet. What's wrong with you? Just kidding.
Oregon State didn't show up. I mean, Jaden Grant didn't have a good game. We were watching him. That's all we just watched the defense. When the offense is on the field, I just go do something else. But it was just like you wait 8 years to play in a bowl game, or is it 8 or 9 or 10? I don't know how long.
2013.
8 years. And then you just fall flat on your face. I mean, the performance was just like, to Utah State. And then you have a guy who at running back for Utah State, Calvin Tyler Jr., that just runs all over you, and he was playing for you guys the year before. And so that was kind of embarrassing. But the only thing I can say to Jaden is that, keep your head up and go to the next level and see what you can do.
All right, let's hit Victory Road, presented by Capital Toyota in Salem. Your way on the Parkway. And fellas, the 2022 Oregon football schedule has officially been released. And what are your thoughts on it? Because a lot of people are pretty intrigued by some of these matchups.
The Oregon started the process of scheduling big name programs long before Rob Mullins. But Rob Mullins is continuing the process of being that gunslinger, going into the bar and challenging all the other gunslingers to a duel out front. He doesn't care who you are. He will play. You just played Ohio State. Now he's got Georgia coming up. And that's how you roll, man, because even a loss to a school like that still is going to, I think, be better for you than a win over, a 1AA team or FCS team. So I like the fact that they're playing not at Georgia, but Georgia in the state of Georgia.
They're playing at Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's pretty much at Georgia. Just like the other games they play. Okay, anyway. So I like that. Is it going to be an L? Probably, but it doesn't matter. BYU, that's going to be really tough. What's fascinating to me is the Pac-12 schedule because there's so much mystery around Oregon right now. At quarterback, what's the staff really going to do, the losses they've had, and some of the young players on the team that we really don't know what they are yet. And then you look at the schedule and you see some teams that they beat this year, but barely, and they're probably going to improve too. So I see like 6 potential losses depending on how things go at quarterback or how things go with development around the league. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go 4-7. I'm just saying there's 6 potential, like no's, like UCLA, Washington, Utah. Stanford's going to be better. There's no doubt about that. And then, of course, Oregon State, they're going to be better. So I think it's a very interesting schedule. We'll see how it shapes out next season. But I can see this team going anywhere literally from 7-5 to 10-2 being the ceiling.
I like the schedule. I like when you schedule the big boys. I mean, you got to face the competition. You got to see where you are as a program and to play Georgia, Ohio State, teams like that. Why not? I mean, why do you want to play, no disrespect to Idaho State or, it's just, come on. Let's go play somebody
Tennessee
that
Tech.
we know that we're going to have some competition and measure ourselves. And we play them early because who knows, we could play them down the road at the end of the season. But it's to me, it builds character, builds some toughness. Yeah, you may get beat in Atlanta, but you got to play those guys to see how you are as a program.
All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at men's basketball, a clash against number 1 Baylor. Oregon looking impressive in that loss, and a toast to Jerry Allen, 35 years of service for the Ducks. We'll have all that when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade. We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with? Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. It's time for some excellence off the football field, presented by Ferguson Wellman. Ferguson Wellman taking a disciplined approach to investing. Well, Oregon men's basketball. If you looked at the schedule a few weeks ago and saw that #1 Baylor was coming into town, you would have shuddered in fear, because at that point, Oregon was dropping games and not even scoring 20 points and a half. However, against the Bruins, a very spirited effort, despite the 78-70 loss to the #1 team in the nation. Oregon putting up more points against Baylor than anybody has all season. Plus, the Ducks led after the first half. So for Oregon, maybe it's signs of improvement. Who knows? But let's go ahead and hear from head coach Dana Altman and Davion Harmon following the game.
There's been some games where we didn't get ready and our competitive level wasn't good. Our competitive level was good. The rebounds, against a big physical team, we were right there. But there was some timely offensive rebounds by them, and then again, we just had a stretch of our turnovers where they just got some easy baskets, really flipped the game.
I'm proud of the way we competed today. You look back at the losses we had, like BYU and Houston, we didn't compete and we got kicked. Tonight we competed, and I'm proud of them for that. If we have a little bit more smartness, in our play, then I feel like we win the game. But great team effort. Wish we could have it back, but you got to move on to Pepperdine on Tuesday before the break.
So obviously some positives from the loss for Oregon, and at 6-6, it's still kind of hard to peg this team down because they've been pretty inconsistent this year. And you look at that really poor stretch of play in November that makes you scratch your head after 2 impressive starts to start the year. But for Oregon, I get the sense that things are starting to turn around. The 2 losses in conference play were just goofy, buzzer beaters, essentially. I mean, they're one possession away in each of those games of being 2-0 in conference play and sitting here at 8-4 following a very close loss to the number one team in the nation. And I think the narrative is completely different about this Oregon men's basketball team. So for me, I feel like they're going to play much better and still finish in the top 3 or 4 in the Pac-12. The problem is when it comes time for the NCAA tournament and potential bids there, I think it's going to be hard for Oregon because you burped up a few games in non-conference play that really would have helped that resume. So a lot of work to be done for this team, but very promising what we saw from them against the number one team in the nation and defending national champions, Baylor Bears. Well, let's have a toast brought to you by Sylvan Ridge Winery, proud partners of the Oregon Ducks. And during that Baylor game, a special celebration, 35 years of service. The voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen, was honored. And I think for everybody that's had a chance to have Jerry be a part of their lives as they've followed the Ducks throughout all these years, Jerry Allen goes hand in hand with Oregon sports. And Anthony, you know Jerry very, very well. You've worked closely with him. You've been around him for nearly these entire 35 years. Just talk about his impact to the program.
Well, Jerry Allen is a guy that he means a lot to a lot of people, and to me as well. Just to watch him do his job or hear him do his job, being the voice of the Ducks. He's so passionate about his team. Yeah, he might be a homegrown type guy that's going to really bleed, the green and yellow. But that's him. That's what he does, and he's done it for a long, long time. And I wouldn't want to listen to anybody else but him. It's been great knowing him over the years, even when I played at Oregon. So he's been around a long time. That makes me old too as well. But congratulations to Jerry Allen.
Well said, Anthony. And listen, Jerry Allen, voice of the Ducks, it just simply isn't an Oregon game unless you're hearing Jerry on the call. And I've known Jerry for over 20 plus years. Heck, he even recorded my voicemail greeting in college whenever people would call me. And he's just been a great friend. And I think that's the best way so many people can describe him. A great friend and a wonderful man that has just set an example for so many people, especially myself. So Jerry, I'm honored to call you my friend. I'm so grateful for all of your years of service and just thank you again. And we want to wish all of you happy holidays and appreciate all of you for joining us so far on Talkin Ducks this season. And we'll say goodnight with this. It was hard to find just one all-time great Jerry Allen call. So here's two of the tops. Jerry Allen on the mic for two of the most iconic moments in Oregon football history.
He's going to go back to throw the ball. Sets up, looks, throws toward the corner of the end zone. It is intercepted! Intercepted! The Ducks have the ball! Down to the 35, the 40. Kenny Wheaton's going to score! Kenny Wheaton is going to score! 20, the 10, touchdown! Kenny Wheaton on the interception! The most improbable finish to a football game!
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. 2-1. It's official. Oregon is going to be in the BCS championship game.